Walt Disney was a dreamer, an innovator, and a master storyteller. As the grandfather of modern animation, he changed the world by revolutionizing the way cartoons were made and the audience that watched them. Walt Disney's unsurpassed creations provided escapism for people during the Great Depression, calmed their fears during World War II, and taught people that they were part of a small world after all.
Growing up on a Marceline, Missouri farm in the early 1900s, his curiosity fueled his creativity and imagination. Walt Disney had a favorite tree at his farm home. He called it his dreaming tree.
And he would kind of steal away down into the field on the Disney farm, and he would lie beneath the branches of this giant cottonwood tree, and it's there where he very first started to draw.
Some of the drawings and observations he made there were used later in shows and movies he created. He loved his dreaming tree, both as a little kid and as an adult.
When Walt Disney would come back to Marceline, he would ask for time alone under his dreaming tree.
Said he learned his belly botany there and played with the bugs and, saw mice and that sort of thing.
Disney and his little sister Ruth demonstrated his storytelling ability by acting out plays in the barn that Walt called his happy place. Today, the walls of the barn are filled with pictures and writings to Walt, including one from a Disney Pixar artist animator who wrote, "Without you, we wouldn't be here."
Disney's journey as a professional artist began in Kansas City, Missouri in 1920. He was introduced to primitive animation and was captivated by it. He moved to Hollywood to be a director and to get into the animation storytelling business. He created a live-action animated cartoon called the Alice Comedies, which premiered March 1924. Disney was joined by his brother Roy, and in February 1926, the Disney brothers created the Walt Disney Studio. Walt Disney was a creative artist, and Roy Disney was the businessman.
If Roy walked into the car, he would say, "Well, Rush, I don't know, that we talked about. I don't know if that would work or not. My brother is such a dreamer." If Walt walked into the car, he would say, "Well, Rush, that idea that we had at noon, my brother is so tight with the purse strings."
Financed by Universal, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit debuted in the spring of 1927 and became a great success. But in a battle of ownership, Disney lost rights to Oswald as well as most of his animators. On the train back to Los Angeles, he was determined to find a new big hit character. He created a mouse and was thinking of the name Mortimer, but Lily, his wife, suggested that Mickey would suit the personality better, so Disney named him Mickey Mouse.
In 1928, Mickey's big debut was in Plain Crazy, but Mickey didn't become a big success until later that year. Sound was coming to the movies, and Disney was on the cutting edge of technology. He experimented with sound and found Cinephone, a sound recording system that synchronized the speed of motion pictures to a sound record. Then on November 18, 1928 in New York City, Steamboat Willie premiered. It was a smash hit, and America fell in love with Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney.
In 1929, Silly Symphonies was launched, and in 1932 won the first Academy Award given to a cartoon. Walt also won an Oscar for Special Achievement for the creation of Mickey Mouse. During the time of the Great Depression, many people lost all their money and almost every business seemed paralyzed, except the entertainment industry. Numerous movies were released because people during the Great Depression wanted to get away from their problems, and a movie was the perfect place to go. The Three Little Pigs was released in 1933 and brought in unparalleled success to Disney's cartoon history. The Big Bad Wolf became the symbol for the Depression, and the song "Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf" became the nation's rally cry in the 30s. Disney was determined to give people something they never saw before. Disney started an art school for his new animators and had some of his more experienced artists train them. Other studios, jealous of Disney's successes, began luring some of the animators away, but they never had the same quality cartoons without Disney's oversight.
Disney's next dream was to turn an animated cartoon into a full-length film, but he knew that before he could do that, he would need a better way of shooting animation to give it a more realistic feel. The multiplane camera was first used in 1937 in the cartoon The Old Mill. Walt Disney was granted a U.S. patent for inventing the multiplane camera. The multiplane camera, or art of animation camera, uses stacked planes of glass with different painted elements of animation on each. It allowed animators to reuse the same backgrounds, foregrounds, or any motionless elements, saving hours of work. It took the world of animation from a flat two-dimensional picture to a layered 3D picture with depth and realism. Disney created a whole new art form when he created the full-length animation film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs that premiered December 21st, 1937. Everyone called it Disney's Folly because they thought it would be a huge failure. People told him that no one would sit through an hour-and-a-half long cartoon. Bankers were squeamish about investing $1.5 million into the production of a cartoon. Optometrists even bought ads in the newspaper warning people that watching a cartoon for 90 minutes would hurt their eyes. Despite the dire predictions, when Disney first released Snow White, people came in droves and the movie earned the studio $8 million. It received a special Oscar for the innovative production techniques.
The Disney brothers bought Burbank property for their new studio and hired some of the best animators and cartoonists in Hollywood for making full-length animation films. They were called the 9 Old Men.
He was a genius in that he surrounded himself with much better artists than himself. I think that his storytelling abilities is how he was able to get the gentlemen and all the artists that he surrounded himself with to create what he had envisioned.
Disney invented the concept of storyboarding, and he would have his artists pin the drawings they made for an animated project all the way around a room. It allowed them to visualize the big picture. Today, studios like DreamWorks and Disney Pixar use a technique that Disney perfected over 75 years ago. Many other businesses also use the storyboarding techniques, from advertising agencies to feature movie studios to manufacturers. Disney was always one of the first storytellers to use cutting-edge technology and techniques to tell the story, and he used that technology of animation to create other movies, including the artistic details of Pinocchio, the perfection of music and imagination in Fantasia, and the humanistic emotion in Bambi. Bambi premiered in 1942, the same year America went to war. During World War II, the government asked Disney to make a lot of training, education, and propaganda cartoons to hopefully get people to enlist in the army, to teach them new skills, and to encourage support for the troops by selling war bonds. The Roosevelt administration was banking on the fact that Mickey Mouse was a bigger box office draw than any movie star in Hollywood.
Walt Disney's creativity led him to new mediums. In 1954, construction on Disneyland started in Anaheim, California, to become the first theme park. And Disneyland, the TV show, started promoting the park on ABC. Sleeping Beauty was the last fairy tale animated feature Walt produced before he died of lung cancer on December 15, 1966. Although he was not a political, scientific, or religious figure, Walt Disney's legacies in art and entertainment profoundly affected American culture. Even today, nearly 45 years after his death, Disney's imagination is alive and recognizable by even the smallest child.
He is the world's top entertainment icon of all times. I know of no two people that have created what Walt Disney has given us.
His amazing ability to tell a story and motivate his artists to draw full-length animation, and his Imagineers to create new attractions, revolutionized our experiences at the movie theater, on television, and at the theme parks.
He was a visionary, and he really revolutionized the industry. I mean, forgetting to go back to Steamboat Willie, but the multi-plane camera and everything else that he did to bring such life to the movies so early on. And he was brilliant, not only because of the ideas that he had, but by surrounding himself with the best people, the best animators, the best minds in the business.
And he wants us all to remember, it was all started by a mouse.